Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Killed in a fire, a home burned down near Holly Springs. What we know about the person killed after 3 others escaped.
And it's a bright start to the day, but it is chilly out there. We'll talk about what the conditions are like on the roads.
And some roads do have this dangerous spots out there, refreezing on the roads. That's a concern this morning, which is why we are taking you live out to the WRAL Storm Tracker with how things are looking thus far. Though I will say, Attic Falls news coming in, had no issues. Nice, smooth sailing going on that way. Thanks so much for joining us here on WRAL News on Fox 50. I'm Chris Lovingood.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Raleigh Boulevard also pretty good this morning. But there are those spots, so obviously we're going to talk about it this morning. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner standing by. Boy, it's frigid out there today.
It really is. So that's one of the reasons that we do have a WRAL weather alert day in place. And of course, we had the potential for slick spots on the roads. Our crews have been out for almost 4 hours. As far as I know, they've not found any icy patches. So that's good news. Still, they maybe haven't been absolutely everywhere. So just keep in mind, there could be a few of them out there. That's why we have a winter weather advisory that's in effect this morning. Cold weather advisory for wind chills in the teens this morning. So definitely want to be bundled up. And, the kids are waking up, not going to school. There's still some snow on the grass out there. So maybe they can get in just a little bit more sledding. It feels like 17 right now in Southern Pines, 15 in Fayetteville, 14 Rocky Mount, 17 Goldsboro, 15 in Roxboro. So that wind chill is still nothing to mess around with. The sunshine today, though, will make it feel warmer. You can see the Beltline here in front of North Hills. Everybody's moving along just fine. 25 degrees our temperature. So already starting to warm up a little bit, but with the wind at 3 miles per hour, there's a little bit of a wind chill. Our wind chill forecast is just in the mid 30s for this afternoon. So it does stay chilly with a high of only 42 degrees. But getting into the weekend, our temperatures start to warm up. I'll show you the change in the pattern. Ken?
8:01, Elizabeth. We just want to make sure that our viewers, if they're getting ready to head out, know exactly what to expect in terms of any icy or snowy patches that they might see. And that's why we've had the WRAL Storm Tracker out on the road this morning for the longest while. Kelsey Coffey, photographer Mark Alexic. You've been driving around those secondary and neighborhood roads. What are you seeing so far?
Hey, Ken, everything looks to be pretty clear. We'll go ahead and give you a live look now at Glenwood Avenue. We're not seeing hardly any trouble spots, maybe an icy patch here or there. We know that that little bit of sun that we got yesterday really helped us out, and most of that snow has been melted away. But if you are driving, just be careful out there, especially if you're driving on some bridges, because you may have some slick spots still left over. But Ken, what else can you tell folks ahead of their morning drive?
Yeah, we want to remind them really to look for those elevated surfaces like this bridge, this at I-540 and I-87. You can see the snowy area and icy area over to the side of the road. But drivers have mainly been sticking to the paved area that you can see right there. So it's these elevated surfaces that you really want to be mindful of. So if a bridge is part of your morning commute, just know that you could run into an icy patch or two in a situation like that. But right now, look at this. All the major routes from Wendell, Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill, all delay-free at this hour. You're getting ready to head out the door. We want you to do yourself a favor. You can listen to us on the radio, 99.3 FM in Raleigh, 96.5 FM in Durham, and you can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle at 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. We are following some breaking news. A person is dead after a house fire near Holly Springs this morning. WRAL's Destiny Patterson has been on the scene on Easton Street all morning long. Destiny, obviously, is still a very active scene behind you. And it looks like we're having some trouble with Destiny, so we will get back to her in just a moment, Chris.
All right. Durham police revealed this morning that a teenager's life is in danger because of a gunshot wound. Officers were called to Courtney Creek Boulevard, and that's in a neighborhood off Highway 55, if you're familiar. Around 3:30 yesterday afternoon, that's when they found shell casings on the ground. And not long after this, they learned a 17-year-old boy was dropped off at a hospital with gunshot wounds. Now, police have not announced any suspects in this case. And WRAL is following a breaking news story in Fayetteville, a murder investigation. Officers were called to a home near Bragg Boulevard and Winston Avenue. This was around 2:40 this morning. That's where they found a person who was pronounced dead, but no information will be provided about that person until their family's notified.
Wake County schools are one of more than a dozen school systems in our area that will be closed today because of concerns about those road conditions. All the counties in red on this map will have no school today, and counties shown in yellow will be on a delayed schedule. Counties in green, they will have remote learning. You can find the full list on WRAL.com.
In fact, this is the third day in a row Wake County schools will be closed, and that means students will now need a makeup day to meet their required instructional hours. WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live this morning. And Brett, some students are now going to have to go to class on a Saturday, next Saturday, to make this up.
Yeah, Chris, and it's the cold temperatures. It is still cold out here for those kids that would have had to wait at the bus stop, and then those icy roads. Just a couple of the factors that really went into canceling canceling classes at schools like Wiley Elementary here in downtown Raleigh. It is another snow day for both school students and staff, and they will have to come back to make that day up. For some, that means a shorter spring break or coming in on a Saturday, like Chris just mentioned. And this is the third straight day, but there was also some previous winter weather and other maintenance-related issues that caused schools to be canceled earlier in the school year multiple times. One parent says the district made the right decisions this week. Another parent tells us that she doesn't mind that her kids will get to stay home yet again today.
I think that they need to be wiser about the decisions that they make when they do close schools.
It's just not worth the risk of one bus sliding on a back road or one child getting hurt.
So we know other school districts have opted for remote learning to avoid having to make changes to their school calendars. However, Wake County's current policy is to use all extra time and work days before taking that step. We have a breakdown of the scheduled makeup days for each calendar track in Wake County on our website, WRAL.com. Live in Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
All right, let's get back out to Destiny Patterson. We were having trouble hearing her earlier. Destiny, we have you now with that active scene behind you there.
So since the last time that we checked in, I was able to talk to some family members off camera, and they're obviously very shaken. They say that this is overwhelming. It's a shock. It's a surprise. The last couple of times, if you take a look at some video, you can see how damaged and charred this home is. They have been able to extinguish the flames at this point. There are fewer crews that are on scene now than there were the last time that we checked in. We still have seen investigators going in and out of the home. The fire chief tells us that the fire started as part of the addition of the house. You can see half of the roof is gone. He tells us that 4 people were in the house at the time of the fire, and one of them was not able to escape, and that person has died. He gives us a little bit more perspective about their struggle to find him once fire crews first came on this scene. Take a listen to what he says about some of the efforts from the other agencies that have come on scene to help him out as well.
It appears to be in an addition on the left side of the house. Cause is undetermined at this time, but we're going to have several agencies out here assisting CCBI, SBI, and possibly ATF to help with cause and origin determination.
We're going to continue to monitor the situation out here. We have also seen salt crews that have come out. They put down salt as well as sand because of all of the water that they've had to use to extinguish the flames. Like I said, we're going to continue to monitor and bring you the latest updates as we get them. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Holly Springs.
And some more sad news. The family of the 78-year-old woman who died in the huge pileup on I-40 and I-85 in Orange County is demanding answers. Geraldine Wilson's loved ones say they want more information from crash investigators. Wilson's daughter says her mother was visiting her on Wednesday afternoon and was heading back home when that crash happened. She says she spent 9 hours trying to get in touch with her and calling police to try to find her. Wilson's niece says she hopes that people remember her aunt for the life she lived.
As time went on and I was not able to get hold of her, I did start to question if maybe she was lost or, had taken a different route or something like that.
And she says she got her answer at about 11 o'clock Wednesday night when troopers came to her door. Investigators say truck driver William Kellum slammed into Wilson's car, killing her. He is facing charges, including misdemeanor death by motor vehicle. Wilson's family says they are struggling with the fact that her death may have been avoidable. And coming up in the next 10 minutes, new images of the wreckage that was left behind in that crash.
Durham schools will meet today to discuss solutions to the district's budget shortfall. Specifically, their board will be meeting there. The district needs to fill a roughly $7 million deficit to balance its budget. Now, one option being considered is having cuts made to the district's central office. According to documents DPS released, the district is reviewing how much those reductions actually save. We expect to learn more at tonight's Board of Education meeting. Your time is 8:10. Surviving a massive pileup. We're taking you back to some new images this morning from that severe multi-vehicle crash in Orange County. Plus, what's next for drivers?
And remote learning effectiveness. Hear why some parents question the usefulness of this type of education.
And the wind chill, look at this. It feels like 15 in Roxborough, 14 in Rocky Mount, 17 in Goldsboro. I'll show you when the sunshine will finally warm us up above freezing.
Welcome back on your Friday morning as we take a live look over a snow-covered Pinehurst golf course. I don't think you're going to see many people out there. I do see one person walking around. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or your streaming device. I imagine it might be a little difficult to play golf. You might lose the ball in the snow today. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. It's also freezing out there.
It is, yeah. You know how those golfers are. They absolutely cannot wait. But boy, next week, golfing, whatever it is you like to do outside, plan on it. We take a live look at Fayetteville this morning, and beautiful sunshine as we look over toward Hay Street. We still have a nice blanket of snow here in the yard, in the backyard at WRAL there at the Azalea Gardens. In Apex, all is quiet. Not really seeing much snow at all. A little bit in the grass beside the street, but the street looks great. In Chapel Hill, roads look great. We've had crews out on the roads for about 4 hours now this morning, and they have yet to find any slick spots. Doesn't mean there aren't any. There still could be some rural roads, shady spots, and a curve where it's a little bit slippery, but generally the roads have improved a great deal since yesterday. Take a look at Lake Gaston, beautiful winter wonderland all the way across the lake and right here on the banks, the shoreline, just lots and lots of snow there. Up there, I think they probably got 3 to 5 inches. It's still there, looking absolutely beautiful, little winter wonderland. We take a live look at Sanford, and the streets are nice and clear, but you can definitely still see some snow on the rooftops. Let's talk wind chill. The wind chill is in the white box on the right. 17 in Goldsboro, 15 Fayetteville, 14 Rocky Mount, 17 Southern Pines, 16 in South Hill. So it still feels very cold out there. There's still enough snow in a lot of places for some sledding, some snowball fights, that sort of thing today. If you're going to send the kids out at lunchtime, it'll feel like 27, and around 4 o'clock it feels like 35. So it is going to feel chilly. That is why we have a cold weather advisory in effect for this morning. That will expire coming up in just a little over an hour. Taking a look at our winter alerts, this was winter weather advisory. Just to remind everybody, there still could be a few slick spots out there. High pressure is sending the cold air our way. High pressure systems rotate clockwise. So in that position, the high is pushing that cold air in. As that high moves eastward and offshore, we get back into a southwesterly flow. And you can see that southwesterly flow starting to warm things up. Highs will jump into the 60s by Monday and maybe even 70 on Tuesday. But right now, we're dealing with colder than normal conditions. You can see the warmth as it starts to slide into our area. Take a look. We'll likely see temperatures in the mid-60s on Monday, as well as Wednesday and Thursday, and Tuesday could be near 70 degrees. Ken?
Well, Elizabeth, at 8:16, let's keep it outside. Let's start in the Bull City, give you a live look at I-885 and TW Alexander Drive. You see nothing but pavement, just a situation where all these the icy patches we've been looking for, not seeing them here in any of this area. We've had the WRAL storm tracker out on the road all morning long since we've been on the air at 4:30 this morning on WRAL, now on Fox 50. Photographer Mark Alexic, Kelsey Coffey on Creedmoor Road right now. And there's such a vast improvement from what we saw yesterday to what we're seeing today. They're seeing very little snow, icy patches, which is really good news if you're about to head out. The issue is, as we bring it on back to the WRAL Traffic Center, these elevated surfaces like I-540 and I-87, you can see the snowy area on this side of the road, but drivers have really been sticking to that paved area, and that's really what you want to do in terms of those elevated surfaces. So if an elevated surface like a bridge is part of your morning commute, just keep in mind that you might run into some icy patches on those elevated surfaces. You know, that slowdown that we're seeing on the Roseville bypass, it's completely gone right now. So that's good news. It was just a temporary slowdown. But all the other major routes from Raleigh to Wendell to Chapel Hill, Durham, all free and clear this morning. You're getting ready to head out the door. Do yourself a favor. Tune us in on the radio. We'll keep you updated. 101.5 HD3.
And that is especially helpful this morning. Thanks, Ken. Well, this morning we're seeing new images of the massive pileup on I-40 and I-85 in Orange County that collected more than 50 vehicles in a chain reaction. Lee's 24-hour Towing, one of the tow truck companies that responded, shared these photos with us. And drivers who were caught up in that pileup are describing the chaotic scene. We spoke with Dusty Metter. He says that he was driving right behind some of the first vehicles that crashed. He slammed on his brakes, but he hit the car in front of him. And he says the moments after that were hectic and frightening.
We peeled out because we didn't want to stay in the car and have people come into us. And we got out the car and ran up the embankment, and we started hearing and seeing cars clashing, and a truck came to the side of the road down the grass where we were at, so we just climbed up a little higher.
And unfortunately, one person died in that crash. Several others were hurt. Metter says that he was told his truck was towed to a yard. He is waiting to get access to it so he can file an insurance claim.
Students in Durham Public Schools will have remote classes today. And our WRAL Investigates team talked to parents about their thoughts on just how effective virtual learning is, in their opinion. Ashley Ratchford operates a cookie business from her home. And this week, she's also had to help her fourth grader who's supposed to be learning from home. Ratchford said that she feels not so much learning is actually happening on those remote days.
If they had real, the teachers actually teaching on the days that they were home remote learning the way they did during the pandemic, that would be better than just what they're doing now.
Students are given at least 5 days after returning to school to submit their completed remote learning homework packets.
Republican North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis is speaking out against President Trump's comments blaming Ukraine's president for the ongoing war with Russia. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Whoever believes that there is any space for Vladimir Putin in the future of a stable globe better go to Ukraine. They better go to Europe. They better invest the time to understand that this man is a cancer and the greatest threat to democracy in my lifetime.
And Tillis says that he supports President Trump and believes most of his national security policies are right. He went on to call Russian President Vladimir Putin a liar and a murderer.
Kentucky Republican Senator Mitch McConnell says that he will not seek an 8th term. He made that announcement while speaking on the Senate floor yesterday. You can hear right here.
7 times, my fellow Kentuckians have sent me to the Senate. Every day in between, I've been humbled by the trust they placed in me to do their business right here.
McConnell was first elected to the Senate in 1984 under President Ronald Reagan. He's the longest-serving Senate party leader in U.S. history, having served for 18 years. Yesterday was his 83rd birthday.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul says she has no plans for now to remove embattled New York City Mayor Eric Adams from office. Hochul cited concerns about disruption and chaos that removing the mayor could bring to residents of New York City. Rather than removal, Governor Hochul will leave the fate of Mayor Adams in the hands of voters, with an election taking place later this year.
President Donald Trump hosted a White House event to celebrate Black History Month. Tiger Woods joined the president, and during that event, Trump announced a statue of Prince Estabrook will be included in the new National Garden of American Heroes. Estabrook, if you didn't know, was an enslaved man who fought and was wounded during the first battles of the Revolutionary War. Time is 8:21. It was a thrilling finish to the Four Nations Hockey Tournament Championship game between the U.S. and Canada.
Centering pass,
Canada. Connor McDavid got the overtime goal to give Canada that 3-2 win. The tournament was a showcase of the NHL's best players from the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland, too.
And Chris, before that game, fans in Boston, where the game was played, booed the Canadian national anthem.
Oh, Canada, terre nos arieux.
Canadian singer Chantal Kreviazuk sang in English and French, and she also changed the words "in all of us command" to "in only us command." Her representative told CBC News that she did that on purpose, quote, in response to the annexation rhetoric coming from the U.S.
And President Trump is reaffirming his calls for Canada to become a U.S. state. The president addressed a gathering of Republican governors in Washington, D.C. last night. In remarks, President Trump touted the executive actions that he's taken in the last month on the border, tariffs, and his other agenda items. He also reiterated his belief that Canada should become part of the U.S.
You know, they're going to have to pay tariffs on automobiles, lumber, and oil and gas, et cetera, et cetera. And they get 95% of their product from the United States. I think they have to become the 51st state.
Trump told the governors that he is expecting a big surprise in the midterms, and he even teased investment announcements in the coming weeks. A home burned down. A fire investigation underway in Holly Springs. This morning, what we're learning about the people who lived there and one person who died.
And increased ER visits, increased trips to emergency departments during this winter weather. The number of ice-related injuries being reported by local hospitals.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning and happy Friday. Time now is 8:26. I'm Michelle McConaughey. It's a cold one out there, but first we want to give you a live look from the WRAL Storm Tracker. They are driving down Creedmoor Road. The roads are much improved this morning, but we are still seeing a few areas that may pose a risk while driving. Parts of our viewing area are under a winter weather advisory because of the icy potential on the roads. Any leftover moisture will be frozen this morning. Let's get right over to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
Yeah, and our crews have been out on the road for about 4 hours now. Fortunately, haven't seen anything, but you know, you can't cover everything. So some of those rural roads, just make sure you keep your eye out. Looking great here in downtown Durham, all clear in front of the DPAC, but we still have that layer of snow there on the grass. Our temperatures are mostly in the mid-20s right now. 23 Southern Pines, 23 Tarboro, 24 South Hill, 24 degrees in Goldsboro. But the wind chill is still in the mid to upper teens in a few places. Temperatures this afternoon up to 42, headed back home this evening. Temperatures drop into the 30s quickly. Ken?
Happening now in the WO Traffic Center. We're going to keep it outside and give you a live look at I-885 and TW Alexander Drive. Really no icy patches to really report, just sticking to the grassy surfaces. So really and truly, it's the elevated surfaces that you really need to be concerned about. In terms of the major routes heading into the Bull City, other major routes, very little to no delays whatsoever in terms of 501 or 85. And in the capital city, similarly, no delays absolutely to get to wherever you're going on time.
All right, thanks, Ken. Coming up next on Fox 50, Durham police say a teenager was shot. The newly released details and his condition this morning. And next on Today, Jane Fonda on her SAG Lifetime Achievement Award.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
This morning, a deadly house fire. A live report on what happened as Sky 5 gives you a view of the scene from above.
And keeping an eye out for icy patches on the roads this morning, but you'll notice a good bit of improvement over yesterday.
Yeah, the WRAL Storm Tracker giving us a live look at the roads this morning, what you can expect when you leave the house this morning. Thanks for sticking with us here on Fox 50 on your Friday morning. We made it. I'm Michelle McConaughey.
I'm Chris Levengood. Could you just say the day one more time?
Friday.
We made it through, especially with all that weather we had this week. But we do know that there's some relief coming that we'll hear in Elizabeth's full forecast. But first, the road conditions right now.
Yeah, so we've had crews out for 4+ hours and really haven't had any issues. Ken's been talking about some bridges that look like they still have some snow and ice on them. So do be careful out there. But for the most part, things are looking pretty good. We do have a winter weather advisory that's in effect still. I imagine the Weather Service will let this expire shortly since we really haven't seen a whole lot of trouble out there. It's definitely been cold, though. Cold weather advisory in effect up until around 10 a.m. And it's been all about the wind chill. It feels like 17 in Southern Pines, 15 in Fayetteville, 17 in Goldsboro, 14 there up in, say, Rocky Mount and Wilson. Speaking of Rocky Mount, it looks beautiful here. Even the driveway here at Rocky Mount Mills looks like it's nice and clear. But, you know, things like the grassy surfaces, the roofs, we still have some snow sitting on those. It is 25 degrees here in the Triangle, just a light wind out of the west, but that is still making it feel like teens this morning. It'll feel like mid-30s with the wind chill this afternoon. Lots of sunshine, a high temperature of 42, but we do have a nice warm up in the forecast over the weekend and next week. I'll show you coming up, Ken.
Hey, 31, Elizabeth, what a difference here on I-87 and New Hope Road. You can see nothing but pavement, very little snow at the grassy area right there. We do have the WRAL storm tracker been out on the road for the last 4 hours or so. Kelsey Coffey, photographer Mark Alexa, giving us an idea of what it looks like in a neighborhood just off Creedmoor Road, one of those secondary roads, Kelsey.
Hey, Ken, it looks like these roads here are dry. This is a neighborhood that's right off of Creedmoor Road. We'll give you a live look right now. Not really seeing any issues across our viewing area. We will say, though, that you may still notice some brine on the highways. It'll probably be there for a while, as we're not expecting rain until later next week. But as far as your morning commute, you shouldn't have too much to worry about. That little bit of sunshine that we got yesterday has gone a really long way, so you shouldn't have too many issues. But Ken, are you monitoring any trouble spots out there on the road?
Really, truly, when it comes to troubled spots, it's the elevated surfaces we want you to really be concerned about. Like this one at I-540 and I-87, you can see the snowy patch on this side of the road, but you can see drivers are really sticking to that paved area. So as Kelsey just showed us, a lot of the main roads, the secondary roads, neighborhood roads, free and clear this morning, but just these elevated surfaces. Just a couple of crashes to tell you about. This one on Wake Forest Road and New Hope Church Road. This one just happened in the last 30 seconds we've been here. I'll check that to see if it's going to affect your morning commute. But all the major routes, 64, 87 in Wendell, the Beltline here in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all delay-free at this hour. You're getting ready to head out the door. We want to keep you updated on the radio. 99.3 FM in Raleigh, 96.5 FM in Durham, and 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
Thanks, Ken. We continue to follow that breaking news out of Holly Springs. A person is dead after a house fire near there this morning. WRAL's Destiny Patterson has been on the scene on Easton Street all morning long. Destiny, what are we learning this morning?
So the firefighting piece of this seems to be done, but they are still putting a lot of tension on the home itself. You can see the fire crews are now inside of the structure of that home, but obviously it is destroyed. I mean, half of the roof is gone. You can see straight through the walls here. I just talked to the fire chief right before this live shot. He tells us that he is expecting us to get some new information shortly here, so we'll keep an eye out on that as well. And earlier when we spoke this morning, he told me that there were 4 people inside of the home and one of them was trapped.
The report of an occupant trapped, crews advanced an attack line and searched. It was coordinated. They were unable to locate the victim. And eventually he was found on a continued search in an addition off to the left side of the house.
You can hear the struggles to find the victim earlier this morning when fire crews first got on the scene. They tell me that the fire broke out just before 4 o'clock this morning. And just putting this into perspective here, we are just off of North Main Street in Holly Springs and right by Ting Park. So we are in kind of the heart of the city, really busy part of Holly Springs. So we're going to continue to stay out here and we're going to wait for that information from the town. I also did talk to a family member of a couple of the victims in the home about 30 minutes ago, and they are shaken, understandably, and they say that they're shocked and overwhelmed. I will keep you guys updated with anything else that we learn. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Holly Springs.
And Durham police revealed this morning a teenager's life is in danger because of a gunshot wound. Officers were called to Courtney Creek Boulevard. That's in a neighborhood off of Highway 55. Around 3:30 yesterday afternoon, they found shell casings on the ground. And not long after this, they learned a 17-year-old boy was dropped off at a hospital with gunshot wounds. Police have not announced any suspects in this case. And police in Fayetteville are investigating a murder there. Investigators were called to a home near the intersection of Bragg Boulevard and Winston Avenue around 2:40 this morning. There, they found a person dead at the scene. No information is available about that person until family is notified. We'll bring you any updates on this investigation as we learn more.
Wake County Public Schools are one of more than a dozen local school systems closed today. And though the road conditions have significantly improved, there are still concerns about them. All the counties in red on the map right here, they have no school today. Counties shown in yellow will be on a delayed schedule today. Counties in green will have remote learning. And you can find the specific broken down list on WRAL.com.
Today is the third day in a row that schools in Wake County are closed, and now students will need a makeup day in order to meet requirements for instructional hours. WRAL's Brett Neese joins us live from Wiley Elementary in Raleigh. And Brett, some of them will need to do it on a Saturday.
Yeah, isn't that a strange thing to say, Michelle? But it is because of this third straight day of no classes. The cold temperatures, I got to tell you, from being out here this morning before the sun was up and even now, they are a big factor in making that decision for school officials. So are those lingering icy roads throughout all of Wake County. So it is another snow day for students and staff across Wake County. They'll have to come back to make up an extra day. And for some of them, that means a shorter spring break or coming in on a Saturday like we just mentioned. Third straight day that they've had to cancel school, but previous winter weather and some maintenance issues have caused schools to close multiple times already throughout the school year. One parent tells us that she doesn't mind that her kids will stay home today.
I think that they need to be wiser about the decisions that they make when they do close schools.
It's just not worth the risk of one bus sliding on a back road or one child getting hurt.
So we know other districts have opted for remote learning to avoid having to make changes to their school calendars. However, Wake County's current policy is to use all extra time and work days before they take that step. Now, we do have a full breakdown on how the scheduled makeup days will play out for each calendar track throughout Wake County right now on WRAL.com. Live in Raleigh, Brett Neese, WRAL News.
The winter storm kept hospitals pretty busy the last couple of days. Duke University Hospital reports 3 times the more patients that they normally see walked into their emergency rooms. Patients were being treated for injuries from car crashes, and EMS leaders believe the number of patients will actually go up, especially from people slipping and falling.
Maybe it looks like it's not slippery and they go for a walk and they try to do something or decide to go shopping and they miss that spot that hasn't had the sun or has frozen over the night before.
The last 2 days, the total number of people coming into emergency departments at Duke and UNC Health Rex has been down from normal. That's a sign that people are waiting for roads to improve before they come in.
The family of the 78-year-old woman who died in the huge pileup on I-40 and I-85 in Orange County is demanding answers. Geraldine Wilson's loved ones say they want more information from crash investigators. Wilson's daughter says her mother was visiting her Wednesday afternoon and was heading back home when that crash happened. She says she spent 9 hours trying to get in touch with her and called police to try and find her. Wilson's niece says she hopes people remember her aunt for the life she lived.
I hope that people smile when they think about Miss Geraldine, because that's what she does when I think about her, and how sweet and loving and kind she was, and how much she loved her children.
Investigators say truck driver William Kellum slammed into Wilson's car, killing her. He is facing charges including misdemeanor death by motor vehicle. Wilson's family says they are struggling with the fact that her death may have been avoidable. Well, coming up, rebuilding after Helene. UNC basketball coach Roy Williams is erasing debt for families in our state. Hear from a woman who got a surprise call from coach.
Plus, hitting the slopes. See how people made the most of their snow day at Dix Park in Raleigh.
And we'll take you live out to Wilson, live over the Wilson Whirligig Park today. Many are under a cold weather advisory. Just ahead, meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner will share when we could break that freezing point.
Behold, the North Hills. Feast your eyes on how cold it is right now. Yes, there is some sunshine, but it is what I call deceptive sunshine. We have Elizabeth Gardner here to tell you a little bit about what to expect today, a warm up on the way, and the road conditions.
Yes, so far the road conditions are looking really good. We do have, of course, crews out there watching. There have been a few bridges that still have a little bit of lingering ice on them, but generally things are looking pretty good still. You know, keep in mind that anything that was still lingering on the roads would be frozen and slippery, but there's certainly not much of it out there. Alerts, though, we do still have a winter weather advisory in effect, just to remind everybody to watch out for the conditions on the roads this morning. A cold weather advisory as well. Our wind chills are still in the teens right now, but we'll start to see that warming up. Even though we are seeing some sunshine, we still have, at least this morning, beautiful snow-covered areas. The driveway here in front of the town hall in Zebulon is nice and dry, but boy, that snow looks so pretty as our temperatures are cold. If your kids are antsy to get out and try a little more sledding or making snowmen, I would try to do it earlier than later because we will see some significant melting today. 25 is the current temperature. We'll climb to around 42 this afternoon, so it stays chilly. Our wind chill looks like this. Feels like 15 in Fayetteville, 17 in Goldsboro, 14 in Rocky Mount, 17 for Southern Pines and for Roxborough. Take a look at our Report It photo. Beautiful snow-covered neighborhood there. Deborah Morris sent us this from Smithfield, and a beautiful sunset there too. We love your photos. Go to WRAL.com/reportit and send us a few. Why is it so cold this morning? Well, cold air is coming out of the northwest. This is where our air is coming from. Our wind chill in Louisville is 11. It feels like 3 in Chicago and minus 12 in Des Moines. Actual temperature is 11 in Chicago and 3 in Minneapolis. So until we change our wind direction, it is going to remain chilly. So that's today. Tomorrow, our wind starts to come out of the southwest, starts to warm things up. But this afternoon, we'll see a high of around 42 degrees. We warm up to 49 tomorrow. That's not a big jump. It's still below normal. And tomorrow morning, still likely to be cold at 19. But after that, we'll notice a big difference on Sunday at 57. And then those temperatures just keep on climbing, 60s and 70s next week ahead of our next system that could bring us some rain on Thursday. Ken?
What a spring in our step, Elizabeth. Look forward to that. Listen, we just got this crash reported on I-40 westbound. It's near Lake Wheeler Road, but our sensors are not picking up any issues in that area. And here's why, as we give you a live look at that area. This is I-40 and Lake Wheeler Road. You can see a disabled vehicle there and another one here. We're working to figure out if these two vehicles were in that collision and exactly what happened. But right now, you see it's not affecting traffic at all. We've had the WRAL storm tracker out on the roadways all morning long since we've been on the air at 4:30, first on WRAL, now on Fox 50. Kelsey Coffey, Mark Alexic on 70 right now, heading toward Durham. And you can see this secondary road. They've been navigating some neighborhood roads as well. Nothing really to write home about. A lot of the secondary and neighborhood roads are really free and clear this morning, which is really good news. You just see the situation of the snow sticking to the pavement, sticking to the surfaces on the side of the road and in the median, but that's it. But coming back into the traffic center, here's what we're really concerned about. These elevated surfaces, like this bridge at I-540 and I-87. You can see the snowy, icy conditions on this side of the road, but drivers are really sticking to the paved area, which is what you should do in a situation like this. So if a bridge is part of your morning commute, just be mindful that you might run into some icy patches there. But other than that, just a couple of crashes on a live traffic map this morning, but nothing really that's going to make you late. You're getting ready to head out this morning, 101.5 HD3. You can listen to us anywhere in the Triangle.
And Ken, we see a lot of these on the road, and I want to tell you here from the WRAL Live Center, Tesla just came out within the last few minutes with a recall of almost 380,000 of its Model Y vehicles. There's another model included in this, the Model 3. Okay, these are specific model year you should know, the 2023 Model 3 and Model Y vehicles. There's a power steering assist issue that when you slow down and come to a stop and then you try to accelerate again, there's a loss of power in it, and it could require more effort to tug that steering wheel by drivers, especially at slow speeds, and they deem this a risk of a crash. Tesla is not aware of any crashes or injuries or deaths related to this condition, but they have released a free software update to address the issue.
All right, thank you, Jeff. People in western North Carolina are working hard to rebuild from the devastation of Helene. This week, some of them received a surprise phone call from a familiar voice who would actually like to change their lives. Former UNC basketball coach Roy Williams is working with Verizon and the debt relief company ForgiveCo, and they're going to erase $10 million worth of debt. That will help about 6,500 people in western North Carolina affected by Helene. And one of them is Madeline Fry. Williams called her to let her know that her medical debt is being erased.
Coach was just so personable, and to think that he, with everything he's achieved in his career and lifetime, would take the time out to call me.
What a class act, right? The debt forgiveness was automatic, and so it requires no further action from the people it helps.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, it's no fun slipping and sliding in winter weather on the roads, but in a park, that's a totally different story. Take a look at the fun families we're having at Dix Park in Raleigh. With the flakes out there still falling yesterday, they were out in full force sledding. It was a rare treat for a lot of young kids who don't see much snow very often, let alone get the chance to play in it.
We've been sharing sleds and making new friends. She's been having a great time today, not in school.
Yeah, they were. You know, you've really maxed out your fun when your sled snaps, like this guy's sled.
All right, so in the world of international cooperation, the future of the Olympics may include more video games. While we are less than a year away from the Winter Olympic Games in Italy, professional gamers have their eyes on an event just a bit further out. The International Olympic Committee confirms the first Olympic esports games will be held in 2027 in Saudi Arabia. In 2023, the IOC hosted an esports week in Singapore. But fans were not impressed with that one because popular competitive games were not included. Although I'm pretty sure you got to put Marvel Rivals in there if you're going to do this. The IOC has not released the games for the 2027 event yet.
Our Teacher of the Week has a special place in her heart for students with intellectual disabilities. WRAL's Ken Smith is at Durant Road Middle School to surprise a special ed teacher dedicated to making sure her students can thrive in an inclusive world.
All right, so we're going to do a sneak peek. Okay, this is our new unique group.
For Pamela Ho, being a special education teacher isn't just a profession.
What do you see in this picture, Jalen?
Hers is a personal journey she's been on for 24 years.
I've been around people with special needs my whole life. I have an older brother on the spectrum, but I think my why is him as far as including our students into the community, into the school. Okay, Davis?
Yeah.
All right, you're ready to start?
Hoke's life lessons for her students go beyond the classroom, making sure her students can function in an inclusive school environment and community.
Just seeing the growth that our students make, whether it's feeding themselves or doing a multiplication table. And being included, I think, is one of the biggest things that has kept me going. All right, let's see if we can find a plate.
Each success story for Hoke doesn't just keep her going, but also ensures her students are prepared for a world that is increasingly accepting of people with intellectual disabilities.
You might work a week, a month on a particular skill, and once they get it, you just clap and are just so generally excited.
Miss Hoke, you are WRAL's Teacher of the Week. Congratulations. Ken Smith, WRAL News.
Yay. And if you would like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box. After being cooped up from all the snow, we have some opportunities to prevent cabin fever.
All right, let's take a look at this weekend's Out and About's Best Bets, starting with an event for country music fans.
Yes, some of Nashville's biggest songwriters, they'll present at the Durham Performing Arts Center tonight. They'll share the stories behind top songs like Tim McGraw's Live Like You Were Dying and Toby Keith's Red Solo Cup. That show starts at 7:30 p.m. and tickets are still available.
And then tomorrow, Apex Senior Center is hosting a hip-hop workshop in honor of Black History Month. The event will include a spoken word performance and interactive dance class. All ages and skill levels are invited to this. Tomorrow's class runs from noon to 2 p.m.
Love this. Tonight, downtown Cary Park is hosting a board game social. The social runs from 4 to 8 p.m. Games will be set up for anyone to enjoy at the Academy Pavilion. The park says the event is still on despite the wintry weather. For more events, you can go to WRAL.com and search keyword Out and About.
Better hope they don't have Monopoly. I'm not fun to play with. Hey, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. We'll be right back with a check on weather and traffic.